Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is February 3rd, 2026, and today we're going to be doing another post-match live analysis. We're going to be talking about Barcelona's victory over Albacete 1-2 with goals of Lamine Yamal and yes, Ronald Araujo. You heard that correctly, Ronald Araujo. Now to start this whole thing, I'm very, very happy to be back home, to be back in my YouTube studio. I was gone for almost 2 weeks on a work trip, but now I'm back. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to go back to our regularly scheduled videos, post-match live analysis, podcasts, you name it. Of course, tomorrow we'll be doing the Wednesday podcast. I'm excited for that as well. I'm super exhausted. I'm tired because yesterday, Monday, I worked all day. I went straight to the airport. I flew for 11 hours overnight, landed here in New York at 7 a.m. today, went straight to work. Now I just went to pick up my dog. This is why we started a little bit late. It took me too long to pick him up. And now, of course, doing the live. And after that, I'll do some news videos. And then I'm going to sleep because I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I haven't slept in 2 days, but that's okay. Why? Because today, Barcelona won. They beat Albacete, and we are through to the semifinals of the Copa del Rey. We do have a draw on Friday, and on Friday, we are going to find out who will be our rival for the semifinal. I think the teams that are left, if I'm not mistaken, it's Atletico Madrid, Athletic Club Bilbao, and Valencia, which, of course, I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think? Who do you want in the semifinals? To me, I always say the same thing. I always want the strongest opponent. After all, this is football. It's entertainment. I want to see two strong teams going at it head-to-head. I don't want to see, Barcelona versus some third, fourth tier team and winning 7-8-0 without even breaking a sweat, right? So I would prefer Atletico Madrid, even though they are in pretty bad shape right now. But so is Athletic Club Bilbao, and so are Valencia. Technically, all three are in bad shape, but of course, on paper, the strongest one is Atletico Madrid. But I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. Who do you want in the semifinal? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this once it ends. Now, let's talk about the match itself before we get ahead of ourselves with the semifinal. But let's talk about the match because Albacete, man, I liked their match. I thought they put on a good display. They are the team that knocked out Real Madrid 3-2. And I thought today they did another good job. They came pretty close. They scored one goal. They scored another one that was ruled offside. And they even had a third opportunity to score a goal that was saved by Gerard Martin. So I really like Albacete. It's despite being, I think it's a third division team, if I'm not mistaken. They don't play like that, right? They're not your typical smaller team who just parks the bus and looks for long passes. They're a team that's brave, that tries to build play, that tries to create their chances, that attacks, that advances the lines. They're not afraid of leaving space in the back. I liked what I saw from Albacete, but of course, their resources are limited. Now, as far as Barcelona, let's talk about the lineup, and then I want to talk about a lot of things in general about the match, and then, of course, we'll end it with some players. But let's talk about the lineup because today we had an interesting lineup, with lots of substitutions. Of course, Juan Garcia in goal. We had Cancelo coming in for Jules Koundé, giving Jules Koundé some rest. Gerard Martin on the left, giving Alejandro Valdez some rest. Ronald Araujo right next to Eric Garcia, of course, giving Pau Cubarsí some rest. We saw Frankie de Jong and Marc Bernal. Of course, Pedri is injured, but nonetheless, really good to see Marc Bernal getting some minutes. I would have liked to see Frankie de Jong getting more rest, but he did miss the Champions League match during suspension. Dani Olmo giving Fermín López some rest in that attacking midfield position. And then we saw Lamine Yamal, Lewandowski starting after Ferran Torres had started the last match. And then Marcus Rashford on the left wing giving Coutinho much needed rest, especially since Coutinho, had that discomfort against Elche. So did Jules Koundé. So I like this lineup because, of course, it gave rest to some very important players that needed the rest. And also, it gave minutes to some players who haven't been getting a lot of minutes. For example, Ronald Araujo hasn't played in a while. I think he's only had a few minutes since he came back from his sabbatical. Marc Bernal, getting back into form. So I like this. I like that a lot because these are the kind of matches that you can afford yourself to rest your players because the season is long. And unlike Real Madrid, we actually compete for all trophies. And also, it's important because it gives players like Bernal, like Araujo, like Cancelo, much needed minutes because if you do need them down the road, it's much better to, if God forbid, Frankie gets injured and you need to bring in Marc Bernal, it's much better bringing in a Marc Bernal who's had minutes, who's in competitive rhythm, versus bringing someone who's rusty, who hasn't played in a long time. So I really, really like this. But now let's talk about general sensation of match, because the scoreline was very deceiving. You know, you see a 2-1 and you're like, wow, or 1-2, I should say, and you're like, wow, this match was very close. And you see the chances that Albacete had, you know, if you only watch the highlights, with them scoring a goal that was offside, with them almost scoring a goal in an empty net that Gerard Maldini saved. And you're like, man, this was a very close match. And then, you know, Madridistas are going to come out of the woodwork, be like, see, we told you, Albacete, you know, they're the next Arsenal, or they are, you know, Bayern Munich. That's why we lost against it. But no, don't be fooled whatsoever by the scoreline. Don't be fooled by the highlight. Definitely don't be fooled by these idiotic Madridistas who I'm sure are crying about this victory because they would have loved to see Barcelona lose so they can justify their patheticness, right? They would have said, see, look, I told you, Albacete is a tough team. But no, this was a match where Barcelona honestly dominated the entire match. They dominated the entire match. And yes, Albacete had a few chances, but let's be honest. For anyone who watched the match, it was clear as day that Barcelona were the much, much superior team. Unlike the match between Madrid and Albacete, which I did watch, where Madrid did not look like the superior team. They looked like a very vulnerable, flimsy team that, well, doesn't play shit. I don't know what they do. I don't know if it's a football team or what kind of team it is. But that wasn't the case today. I think our Barcelona was clearly the more dominant team. Not the best team by Barcelona, but nonetheless, they were the dominant team. They were constantly keeping the pressure on Albacete, constantly generating the chances. And, you know, they were the superior team. But, of course, the question is, well, Mo, if Barcelona were that much superior, why is the scoreline 1-2? Well, the scoreline was 1-2 because, once again, we're seeing a big, big problem with Barcelona, which is the same problem we saw against Elche. And that's that we generate a lot of chances, but we score very, very few. The match against Elche could have easily ended 1-7, maybe 1-8, and instead ended 1-3 because we wasted so many clear chances. And today was no different. It ended 1-2, but could have easily been 1-4, 1-5, maybe 2-4, 2-5. Let's give him, you know, that goal that Gerard Maldini saved. So again, we see the same problem with Barcelona where we're creating a lot of chances, but we don't have players who can convert them. Between the two clear misses of Rashford, between the two clear misses of Ferran Torres, a clear miss by Dani Olmo, we're having that problem where we're simply not converting. And it's a problem that needs to be addressed. Now, at the beginning of the season where Barcelona were not really doing too well, where we lost against Real Madrid, we were having a problem generating chances, right? We weren't really moving the ball quickly. We weren't really having that one-touch passes. We weren't having players making runs to get open, and we weren't generating much. Now, we've fixed that problem. That problem is fixed. We are generating chance after chance after chance. I mean, it's a flood of chances every match, but now our problem is we cannot convert. So now we need to fix this other problem, which is the conversion, and which also highlights our very, very dire need for a proper striker, a pure 9, someone who has that instinct for goal, someone who's a box predator, someone who has eye for goal, so he can convert those chances. Ferran Torres is not it. And even though Lewy is, of course, Lewy is 37 years old, and, well, as you're seeing, we can't count on him 90 minutes of every single match. Instead, he's become more of a rotational role. So we need that number 9. And I think that should be Barcelona's number 1 priority come this summer, because as you can see, we're generating the chances, but we're simply not converting them. And it doesn't matter how many chances you generate. If you cannot score, well, what's the point, right? So I think our number 9, the number 9 position is going to have to be the number 1 priority for Barcelona come this summer, because we need to convert all these chances that we've created. I mean, damn, it's getting to the point where I'm getting frustrated for Lamine. I mean, how many chances does Lamine create for his teammates, and he simply cannot push it in? I mean, Lamine should have at this point 40 assists easily, but instead he doesn't. I think he has 13 or 14. I can't remember. No, but that's in La Liga. I can't remember in total how many he has, but he should have double, maybe even triple, because this guy creates so many chances for his teammates that simply they don't take advantage of. So we really, really need to solve that problem. Of course, the silver lining is at least we solved the problem of generating. Before we weren't generating and we weren't scoring. At least now we're generating, but we're having a hard time scoring. So now I think the focus should be on fixing that problem. Now, let's talk about specific players, because Ronald Araujo, ladies and gentlemen, very, very happy for the Uruguayan defender. He came in today. in a place of who did he come in place of? I think it was Araujo. No, or did he start? No, he started, right? I'm like confused. I'm so tired. I haven't slept in 2 days. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Ronald Araujo, an incredible match today. Very solid in the back. Beating, the Albacete players, especially with his speed and his physicality, is scoring a goal from the corner kick. So very, very happy for Araujo. Of course, this doesn't mean that all of a sudden that's it. Araujo's back. After all, this is Albacete. Let's chill, right? Like, plus we want to see more of this. But I think this is a huge step forward for Ronald Araujo, who, as we know, has not been having a good time lately, right? He had that mental breakdown after the Chelsea red card. He had to take some time off. Since he's come back, I think he's only played in one match. So I think today was a big, big, big moment for Ronald Araujo to kind of start regaining his confidence. And then what a way to do it, by the way. Again, incredible performance defensively speaking, plus scoring a goal. I think that's going to be very, very huge for Ronald Araujo so he can improve. He can continue gaining confidence. And hopefully we can get that Araujo from, previous season, that season under Xavi Hernandez where we won La Liga, Araujo and Christensen were absolutely superb. So hopefully we could see that version of Araujo because after all, the season is very long and what we want is to add players, not to subtract players. So for Araujo, I think today was a big day and I really hope he continues to regain his confidence and he can become an asset once again for Barcelona. Joao Cancelo today getting a chance to kind of prove himself to Flick. I don't think he had a bad match, but I don't think he had a great match either. I think he got that yellow card early on, and it looked like any moment he could be expelled or suspended. And I think Hansi Flick did the right job of taking him off because, Albacete players did their job also in helping getting Cancelo the yellow card. So can't really judge his match today. Frankie de Jong, once again, superb match from the midfield. Really, really good job by Frankie de Jong. I'm starting to like what I'm seeing because Frankie de Jong, so far, every time he would play without Pedri, he would his level would drop. Now we saw against Elche. We saw again today against Albacete. 2 matches in a row where Frankie has stepped it up, where he has become the leader in the midfield, where he's like, all right, Pedri's not here to direct the attack. Pedri's not here to direct the orchestra and generate chances and distribute the ball. I got this. I'm going to do it. 2 matches in a row that Frankie de Jong has done that, and I'm very, very happy about this, and I really hope that Frankie continues to do that because we're going to need him. We cannot always depend on Pedri. Pedri sometimes is going to get injured. Sometimes he's going to need rest. Sometimes he might get suspended. We need Frankie to be able to step it up when Pedri's not on the field. And even when Pedri on the field, isn't it better to have 2 great pivots instead of 1, right? So really, really happy with Frankie. Of course, we're going to have to see if he keeps this up, and we're going to have to see if he can do that against bigger teams, right? Because so far he's had superb matches against Elche and Albacete, and with all due respect to Elche and Albacete, they're Elche and Albacete. So I want to see Frankie maintain this level, and I also want to see him do this against bigger team. Marc Bernal, not the best minutes that we've seen from him so far, but nonetheless, I'm very happy to see Bernal, continue in this first team dynamic, continue getting minutes, because Marc Bernal is undoubtedly a diamond in the rough. I think we're going to see Bernal for a very long time, and I think we have a diamond in the rough here. So I'm really, really glad to see that he got minutes. Dani Olmo, I liked his first half. Second half, it kind of got diluted. It wasn't as influential as the first half, but I like the first half of Dani Olmo. As I said, if Dani Olmo was more consistent and wasn't as injured, he could be an incredible asset for Barcelona because we know how skilled and talented he is. I've said that a million times. But unfortunately, a lot of times he cannot maintain that, and plus his injuries also don't help. But if Olmo cannot maintain that level, I think we have a great, great asset in the midfield, which Dani Olmo can potentially be. Lamine Yamal, I don't even know what to say anymore. Lamine Yamal has just been on fire, man. Every match is the same story. And it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's a big team, small team, Champions League, La Liga, Copa del Rey. I mean, this guy is just unstoppable. His goal was absolutely brilliant. I mean, it all starts with pressure by Frankie de Jong, forcing the Albacete player to make the mistake. I think it's Rashford who recovers it, gives it to Frankie. Frankie, one-touch pass to Lamine Yamal, and then that exquisite touch by Lamine to the far post. I mean, what a beautiful goal. Lamine is just Lamine, man. He is undoubtedly now the best player in the world, and he's only 18 years old. We haven't even scratched the surface with this guy, because he's only a kid. He's only a teenager. He's still learning. He's still developing. He's still growing. He's only going to keep getting better and better and better. We haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg. And my God, how blessed we are to have La Masia and how blessed we are to have Lamine Yamal. Marcus Rashford, man, 2 clear chances, completely wasted. I mean, my dude, and this is what I complain about. Rashford will score goals, but then he is so inconsistent where he scored goal the other day, and now today he misses 2 clear chances. At least score one, man. You're playing against Albacete, for Christ's sake. You're a world-class player, and you're wasting chances against a third division team. This is what I mean when I'm like, I just don't understand why Barcelona would want to spend 30 million. But anyways, that's my opinion. I know it rubs people the wrong way, but it is what it is. Ferran Torres, another match where he wastes clear chances. He did score that goal that ended up being ruled offside because the tip of his hair was offside, or the tip of his dick. I mean, this offside is getting a little bit ridiculous now. I think there has to be some kind of change in the rule. It cannot be. I'm not saying that it was the wrong call. It was clearly the right call. But I think there has to be a change for rules where, I mean, what kind of advantage did Ferran Torres have because the tip of his dick was offside? I mean, come on. Remember that offside in Real Sociedad with Lamine Yamal where like the tip of his heel was offside? What kind of advantage is that? I mean, the whole point of offside is so the attacking player doesn't have an advantage over the defending player. It's kind of like to level the playing field. But if it's like your nose that's offside, how is that an advantage? Anyways, it is what it is. We take we win this. We're through to the semifinal. We'll see on Friday who will be our opponent in the semifinal. But overall, again, not the best match of Barcelona, but nonetheless, they dominated the entire time. Generated a lot of chances. It should have been a bigger scoreline. It wasn't, but that's something that Barcelona are going to have to work on, and that's something that Flick is going to have to work on because we cannot keep generating so many chances and only scoring 1, 2, or maybe 3 max. But anyways, I'm still happy with the victory, of course. Again, we're through to the semifinal. Something beating Albacete, something that, of course, Real Madrid did not know how to do because, well, they're a mediocre club. Anyways, let's do some comment section, then we'll end this live. And then, of course, later on, I'm doing videos, news, videos, and then I'm going to sleep because I'm tired. Pesca Michael says, even though it was Albacete, Araujo surprised you with those forward passes. Maybe the plan Flick staff put him on is working. Hopefully. I hope so too, my friend. Yes, I really liked Araujo's match today. I mean, the SOFA score gave him an 8.5. I agree with that. But yeah, man, I hope that helps him gain his confidence back. I hope he starts, become an asset again because we're going to need him, right? We're going to need all of our players because the season is long and we compete for all competitions and we need our players well rested and rotated. Jules says, Rooney is not used enough. Hans's squad rotation is weird at times. We will lose this kid. I agree Rooney should be getting more minutes, but if he isn't, it must be something that Flick is seeing. Maybe Flick is seeing that he still needs to polish up some technical aspects because let's not forget, Rooney just came from Sweden. With all the respect to the Swedish league, obviously La Liga is, miles and miles ahead. So if Rooney is not getting minutes, my guess is Flick is probably seeing that he still needs to work on some things. Let's see. Jules also says, Araujo wasn't half bad today. Amazing from Lamine, but we need to use Rooney more often. Ibrahim says, dude, we need another midfielder, someone like Pedri. Turn Gabi a defensive midfielder. He will be better than Casado. I don't know, man. Frankie de Jong in these 2 last matches, he's kind of done like a Pedri kind of job. Obviously not as good not because Frankie was bad, but because Pedri's Pedri. Nobody's going to be as good as Pedri. He's the best midfielder in the world. But I think if Frankie can maintain this level that we saw against Elche and that we saw today against Albacete, I think we got our second Pedri. And I say that, in quotations because there is no such thing as a second Pedri, right? Pedri is the best. But you know what I mean. Like a midfielder that can generate chances and build play like Pedri does. Costa says, I think Real Sociedad is one of the possibilities. Yes, so it's Real Sociedad, Athletic Club de Bilbao. Oh, wait, you're right. I think it's... Wait, no, it's Valencia, Atletico, and Real Sociedad. Wait, hold on a minute. Let me see. Now I'm all confused. Okay. Oh, wait. It's because there's matches that are not over. Duh. There's matches tomorrow. That's why. So our possibilities are, let's see, Valencia or Athletic Club because they play tomorrow. So we don't know who's going to go through. Atletico Madrid or Real Betis because they're also playing on our playing Thursday in Alaves or Real Sociedad. Wait a minute. Oh, and then yeah, yeah. So Valencia, Athletic Club, Alaves, Real Sociedad, Real Betis, Atletico Madrid. Those are the 60 possibilities. Obviously, 3 of them will go home tomorrow and Thursday. So we'll see what happens. But those are the 6 teams that are the possibility. Out of the 6, like I said, I prefer Atletico Madrid, assuming they make it to the semifinal because they have to play Real Betis. But we'll see. We'll see. So far, we only have one team in the semifinal, and that is us. That is us. My man Corey says, I keep asking why Lamine isn't getting rest and Rooney getting some minutes like at the 75th minute. With Lamine, it might be, and I'm speculating here because I'm not in that locker room. I don't know what it's like, but it might be one of those cases where he needs the constant play. Because believe it or not, just like playing too much can injure you, also not playing consistently can also injure you. We saw that with Pedri, by the way. Pedri is a player that needs, and Kunde, right? They need the constant play because the moment they stop and then they get back, that change in rhythm all of a sudden can cause injury. So it might be that. Again, I could be speculating because I don't know, but the fact that Lamine keeps playing and he seems completely fine, that might be that situation where he's one of those guys where his muscular build is where he needs the constant play to stay out of injury or to avoid injury. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Zach Urban says, come summer, we should give Vlahovic for free. We need a striker. We need a striker for sure, my friend. We need a striker for sure. A pure 9. Someone that can convert all those chances because, my God, man, it's like so frustrating to see the team generate so much and then so many misses. Matt Sofiri says these chances in Champions League, then we are done. We're going nowhere. My dream is the Champions League. It's been long, 10 years or 11 years. Yeah, we need to convert our chances because in the Champions League against, or even in La Liga against bigger clubs, if you waste your chances, you get punished, right? A team like Elche, a team like Albacete, you waste chances, you might be fine because they're not gonna generate that much against you. But on other teams, you don't take advantage of your opportunities, then yes. Johnny Sanders says at this point, let the Gypsy Kid start over Torres because I don't think he can be worse. He can. He's only 18 years old. He's been playing in Egypt. He just got promoted to the first team, by the way, this season, if I'm not mistaken. So, no, it's going to be a long road for Hamza Abdelkarim to... First, he needs to adapt to Spanish football. 4th division with Barca Athletic. Then he has to learn the Barca concepts, tactics, and then he can start maybe training with the first. Well, and then he has to put all that to work by actually playing minutes. And then we can see if he can train with a team, let alone play with a team. So no, Hamza's going to have a long road to adapt, to learn, to improve. He's far, far, far from, at this point, obviously. We'll see how fast he progresses. But right now, no, he's nowhere near being able to train with the first team, let alone play. And he says, last year without Pedri, we struggled tremendously. We did. This season, I feel like we're not as much. And that's because, these last 2 matches was because Frankie stepped up, right? And now the team is a lot more, I feel like the team now is a lot more solid than they were last season, even though we started this season really badly. And even though last season we looked a lot more dangerous goal scoring wise, I feel like the team is more consolidated now, where the team now can still win even if they play shitty, where the team can still pull off victories without even trying, because the team now plays a lot more like a unit and they know each other more and they know how to play under the Flick system more or better than last season. So I think maybe that's why we're not suffering as much without Pedri. Now, of course, Pedri's Pedri. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be better without with him on the field. Of course, it would be because it's Pedri. but the difference is not as big as last season. You're right. Eddie says if Lewandowski was in his prime, would be unstoppable. Man, can you imagine Lewy, who used to put out 40, 50 goals a season in his prime, would be with this Barca, with Lamine feeding him balls, with Pedri feeding him balls, with Frankie, the Frankie from these last two matches feeding him balls. My God, Lewy would be cooking, Manny. Cooking. Let's see. Leo says, do you think this could be a turning point for Araujo? I hope so. I hope so. Can I say for sure? No. Time will tell. But I think this today was, it very much could be. I mean, to have a great performance and then to top it off with a goal. And then you saw him how he ran towards Flick and hugged him. I mean, this very much could be. And these are the kind of matches that give players confidence, right? The matches against the lower division teams, the smaller clubs where maybe the pressure's not as big, where where you can shine more because it's a weaker team. In that way, that gives you the confidence to be able to shine better against bigger teams. But these are the kind of matches that can turn things around. So I really hope so, because we need that Araujo. We need everybody, right? We need that Araujo to regain his confidence, start playing good. We need Dani Olmo to stay consistent and healthy. We need Frankie to step it up and continue playing at the same level that he's right now, or even better, because he's been stepping it up. We need Cancelo to prove me wrong. I mean, we need everybody. We need everybody to be on top of their game, to where if someone needs rest, if a starter needs rest or is suspended or is injured, someone can come off the bench and it's like you don't even realize that your starter's not there, right? We need that. We need that. John says, imagine Harry Kane in this Barca team with the chances been created. I mean, he's also at Bayern, right? So he's getting plenty of chances too, and he's scoring also a lot of goals. So I think, yeah, we would have a lot more goals. Would Kane have more goals? Maybe the same as he's having right now. But yeah, I mean, Kane as opposed to Ferran. I can't believe people used to argue with me and tell me Ferran could be our starting number 9. That still blows my mind every day. Zach Irvin says, Mo, tough question. Would you rather have prime Lewy plus Messi and Neymar, or prime Suarez? Ooh, my man, you got me. This is a tough one. But I think prime Lewy. Yeah. But by a very small margin. This is not to take away anything from Suarez, because Suarez was Suarez, and we saw what Suarez did. I mean, he won the Golden Boot during the Messi era. You know how difficult that is to do? So, I mean, Suarez is Suarez. But I think I would have liked prime Lewy, because Lewy was a lot more efficient in his prime with Bayern. I mean, shit, even with Dortmund. Remember when was he with Dortmund, or was he already at Bayern? No, I think he was with Dortmund. Remember when he scored like 5 goals, or was he already with Bayern? Or remember the hat trick that when he was with Dortmund and he scored against Real Madrid? I mean, prime Lewy, man. People forget. Prime Lewy was something else. I mean, he was very unlucky to be playing in the Messi Penaldo era, because if it wasn't for Messi Penaldo, Lewy would have probably been cleaning house with Ballon d'Ors. Dorian says, I hope we face Atletico Madrid if they also sign Ademola Lookman, so I'm hoping to see that great matchup. Yeah, me too. Like I always said, man, I prefer 2 strong teams going at it with all their players healthy. I don't do this whole like, I want the weakest team, or, I really hope they're all-stars, they're injured. It's like, why? Why do you want to see an easy win? Like, that's not what sports are about. That's not what football's about, or rivalry. You want to see the 2 strongest team with all their strong players healthy going at it, and let the best win. Let the best team win. After all, it's a lot. It's entertainment, right? You want to see that. Plus, a victory feels a lot better. Imagine if today, instead of Albacete, it would be Real Madrid. You would be a lot more happier. I'll be over here screaming like, yeah, we won, let's fucking go. Because it's Real Madrid. It just feels a lot better than beating Albacete. No disrespect to Albacete, right? That's what I want to see in every match. I want to see the 2 best teams with all their players healthy, going at it, and let the best team win. I don't want to see this whole like, oh, I really hope we get the weakest team and all their 11 starters are injured and they get to play with their water boys and towel boys. It's like, what? Why the fuck would you want to see that? No one wants to see that shit. But anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. That is all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Another victory. We're off to the semifinals of the Copa del Rey. We got, of course, a La Liga match coming up. Who are we playing against? Let me see. Who are we playing against this weekend? I don't even know. We're playing against Mallorca. So we got a Mallorca match on Saturday. So it's back to La Liga against Mallorca. Of course, I will be doing the watch-along. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We got news videos coming later tonight. And then tomorrow is the podcast. So I'll see you guys in those videos and in the podcast tomorrow. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, Visca Barça.